Another story I'd like to share with you is about an animal which is much smaller than the monitor lizard and much more aggressive, and that's the land leeches. Yeah, you heard that right. We've got land leeches, and just like their water cousins, they are looking for blood.
Those land leeches. You're spending 5 minutes with the missionary. This podcast is a window into missionary life. It's fun, it's personal, it's real, and it's always an adventure. During Season 2, LCMS missionaries serving around the globe talk about their encounters with critters and local wildlife. Last season, we heard from Pastor Stephen Mahlburg. Today, we'll hear from his wife, Martha. They live in Sri Lanka, an island nation south of India.
Today I'd like to share with you a little bit about some of the animals and wildlife we see here in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is one of the most diverse places in terms of flora and fauna in South Asia. And that's because we have such a wide range of places for the animals to live. We have urban areas, we have rural areas, we have the seasides, and in a couple hours you could be up in the mountains. We have farmlands, and we also have rainforest in the southern part of the island. We are also home to the largest animal in the world. The blue whale swims right off of our shores. We also are home to one of the smallest ants you could ever find in the world. And let me tell you, they know how to get through our kitchen. I'd like to share with you a few stories about some of the wildlife we've encountered while we've been living in Sri Lanka. The first story I'd like to share with you took place at my husband's first office building. At that building, you had to go up a flight of stairs in order to get to the second floor where the offices were. One day, as they were working on the second floor, a thalagoya knocked the door open and started coming up the stairs. Now, thalagoya is not going to be a word you're familiar with, so maybe the term monitor lizard would be a better one to use. A monitor lizard is about 6 foot long from the tip of its nose to its tail and looks a lot like a Komodo dragon. Now, they're not usually very aggressive, but this one decided he was going to check out what was going on the second floor. Well, he was soon found out, and they had to drop mats, floor mats, from the balcony that was overlooking the stairs in order to get him to turn around and go out the door. Like I said, they're not aggressive, but you certainly wouldn't want to be bit by them because their mouths are very nasty and you probably get broken bones and probably a bad infection as well. Another story I'd like to share with you is about an animal which is much smaller than the monitor lizard and much more aggressive, and that's the land leeches. Yeah, you heard that right. We've got land leeches, and just like their water cousins, they are looking for blood. We've encountered them a couple of times when we were out walking in the grassy areas. And what they like to do is hang on to the bottoms of leaves. And then when you pass by and brush up against them, they latch onto your leg. The only way to get them off is with using a credit card to scrape them down off of the skin. If you try to get them with your fingers, they might whip around and attach to your fingers. They're ugly, they're nasty, about a 1/2 inch long, and look like little black inchworms. You don't want to encounter those. I'd like to tell you about one of the most amazing and astonishing encounters we've ever had with the wildlife. We had been on vacation for a couple days in Ella, a place just north of Yala National Park. And Yala National Park is in part of that rainforest. And they have incredible amounts of wildlife there. Well, as we were driving down the road, we noticed off in the distance a large gray shape. And as we got closer, the shape resolved into a wild elephant. This elephant was walking by itself on the side of the road. Now, our driver, he was a cautious fellow, and I appreciate that, because he slowed down and he moved over to give that elephant plenty of room. And as we passed in our van, the elephant turned sideways to get a good look at us, and we got a good look at it. Once we had passed, the elephant stepped out onto the road and continued his stroll, knowing that nobody was going to try to do him any harm. I could tell you lots of other stories about monkeys, that you have to keep your windows closed in certain areas of the country because they'll come in and destroy things. I could tell you about the gorgeous leopards in the south of the island. I could tell you stories about the flying snakes. Okay, so they don't really fly, they more jump and glide, but still, flying snakes is a pretty crazy thing to think about. But if you ever come and visit, I'll be happy to introduce you to the wildlife of Sri Lanka.
Thanks for spending 5 minutes with a missionary. To learn more about Martha and Stephen, go to lcms.org/Mahlburg. You can also sign up for their newsletter using the link in the show notes. You can find this podcast on kfuo.org/missionarypodcast or your favorite podcasting app. Join the LCMS International Mission Community on Facebook or Instagram at LCMS International Mission.